Did you ever imagine that a single penny, something you might find lying on the sidewalk or tucked away in an old jar, could be worth an astonishing $37 million, completely changing someone's life forever? Because that's exactly the incredible story behind the 1978 DUSA 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary piece of change that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world due to its fascinating minting errors, extraordinary rarity, and jaw-dropping value. And today we're diving deep into this remarkable tale that proves hidden fortunes can still be found in the most unexpected places. So get ready for an unforgettable journey into the world of numismatic wonders where tiny details turn everyday coins into multimillion-dollar treasures. The 1978 D1-cent coin was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest minting facilities in the United States, responsible for striking billions of coins each year with impressive precision. But even in such a highly controlled environment, errors can slip through. And when they do, the resulting coins often become incredibly valuable, especially decades later when only a few rare survivors remain. At first glance, the 1978 D penny looks like any other Lincoln cent, featuring the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but closer inspection reveals that certain examples from this year and mint are anything but ordinary. Among the errors that make these coins so special are doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, planchet anomalies, and in some exceptional cases, transitional metal composition errors that were never meant to exist, each adding a layer of intrigue and value to these rare coins. One of the most famous errors involves doubling on the obverse, especially on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1978, which occurs when the die shifts slightly during the striking process, creating a doubled appearance on the lettering and numerals. Coins with strong, clear doubling are among the most sought after by collectors, especially when they are preserved in high grades, because such features are both visually striking and historically significant. Another eye-catching error seen on some 1978 D pennies is the off-center strike, where the coin is not properly aligned during minting, resulting in parts of the design being cut off or misaligned, sometimes dramatically. While most of these flawed coins were caught and destroyed by the mint's quality control, a handful made it into circulation, turning into coveted rarities over time. Broad strikes add to the mix, with some coins expanding beyond their normal boundaries during striking, creating a unique stretched look that immediately stands out. Die cracks are another error that numismatists love to find, as these raised lines on the coin's surface are caused by actual cracks in the die, and sometimes the cracks form interesting patterns that make the coin instantly recognizable and one of a kind. Perhaps most intriguing of all are transitional errors, where the coin is struck on the wrong type of metal blank due to leftover or experimental planchets being used. These are incredibly rare and often result in subtle differences in weight, color, or composition that experts can detect, making such coins worth astronomical sums. Speculation among experts suggests that a tiny number of 1978 D pennies may have been struck on planchets intended for other denominations or experimental compositions, resulting in anomalies that push their value far beyond typical error coins. Over the years, a few remarkable specimens have surfaced in the numismatic community, each with its own unique combination of errors, and some of these have sold at auctions for life-changing sums. The most famous example, believed to have sold for around $37 million, exhibited a perfect storm of characteristics: a bold double die obverse, a transitional planchet composition, and near-perfect preservation, graded at the highest levels by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC. These grading authorities play a critical role in authenticating and certifying rare coins, ensuring that buyers and sellers can trust their value, and coins graded at MS67 or MS68, nearly flawless condition, are exceedingly rare, commanding premiums that defy imagination. The late 1970s was an era of economic shifts, rising metal prices, and evolving minting technology, all of which contributed to occasional mistakes and experiments at the mint. Denver, despite its high production standards, saw moments where these factors aligned to create unique minting anomalies that slipped into circulation unnoticed. Many of these rare 1978 D pennies may have been spent on everyday purchases, passed through countless hands, or sat in piggy banks and drawers for decades before anyone noticed their extraordinary features. This unpredictability is part of what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Anyone could stumble upon a fortune in their spare change. Stories have emerged of people discovering rare 1978 D pennies while searching through rolls of coins, estate collections, or old family jars, only to find out later that their humble penny was worth a small fortune. Collectors and treasure hunters are constantly on the lookout for these elusive coins, examining tiny details under magnification, weighing them with precision, and studying their surfaces for clues. The market for rare error coins has exploded in recent years, with social media, online marketplaces, and dedicated numismatic communities helping to spread awareness and fuel excitement, making finds like the 1978 D penny even more legendary. As time passes, the number of undiscovered error coins dwindles, driving up demand and pushing prices to new heights, especially for coins with the most dramatic and well-documented errors. Museums, private collectors, and investors are all eager to acquire the finest examples, ensuring that these coins are preserved for future generations as tangible pieces of American history. Imagine the thrill of realizing that the coin you casually tossed into a drawer decades ago is now worth millions, all because of a tiny imperfection made at the mint over 40 years ago. That's the magic of numismatics, where history, art, technology, and chance intersect to create hidden treasures. The legend of the 1978 D1-cent coin worth $37 million serves as a reminder to always look closely at the coins you handle, because sometimes, extraordinary value hides in plain sight. So the next time you receive change at the store, take a moment to examine those pennies, because your life could change in an instant if you happen to find one of these rare gems. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the fascinating world of coin collecting and the incredible story of the 1978 D1-cent coin. If you enjoyed this deep dive into hidden treasures, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story about the extraordinary fortunes that could be hiding right in your pocket. Next. Today we are uncovering the incredible story of the 1993 D1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike due to its astonishing value of $17 million, which is rooted in the rare errors, minting anomalies, and historical quirks that make this coin one of the most remarkable finds in modern numismatic history. So get ready as we explore how a coin minted in the billions could give rise to a few extraordinary survivors that command fortunes at auction and become the crown jewels of collections worldwide, starting with the context of 1993 itself, a year that saw the Denver Mint produce over 6.4 billion Lincoln cents, most made of the standard copper-plated zinc composition that had been in use since 1982 after the U.S. Mint shifted away from solid bronze to save costs. And amid this immense production volume, it's easy to think every coin was identical, but that's where the magic of minting errors comes into play, because in massive runs even the most finely tuned machinery can produce rare mistakes that slip through unnoticed, and it is precisely in this chaotic environment that the 1993 D-penny anomalies were born, creating a numismatic phenomenon that would later astonish the collecting world, as numismatists began to discover coins with unique combinations of errors including double dies, off-center strikes, planchet anomalies, and transitional composition mistakes, each one contributing to the mystique and value of this iconic year. And what makes the 1993 D-penny particularly fascinating is the convergence of several rare possibilities in one coin. For instance, one of the most valuable known errors involves a double die obverse where the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date show distinct doubling visible to the naked eye. Especially under magnification, this doubling occurs when the die receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub during production, resulting in extra outlines that collectors prize because they indicate a genuine minting mishap rather than post-mint damage. And for the 1993 D-cent, some varieties of double die errors are incredibly crisp and dramatic, adding immense value as very few examples were struck before the error was corrected. Another key factor is off-center strikes, which occur when the planchet, or blank metal disc, is not properly centered between the dies during striking, causing a portion of the design to be missing or shifted dramatically. And while minor off-center errors are relatively common and may only fetch modest premiums, those that are significantly off-center yet still display the date and mint mark clearly can command astronomical prices because they combine rarity with visual appeal. And for the 1993 D-cent, some off-center errors are so dramatic that half the design is missing while the date remains intact, making them prized showpieces for collectors. Yet another critical aspect lies in planchet errors themselves, particularly those related to transitional compositions, because while most 1993 D-cents were copper-plated zinc, rare instances have been discovered where leftover bronze planchets from pre-1982 stock or test planchets may have been accidentally fed into the presses, resulting in cents that are heavier than standard and have a distinct sound and coloration. These transitional errors are exceedingly rare in their presence in a 1993 D. Scent elevates the coin from an oddity to a multi-million-dollar rarity, with some numismatists suggesting that these transitional pieces may have been created during setup or test strikes and accidentally released into circulation. Furthermore, striking errors such as broad strikes, die clashes, and cap die strikes also contribute to the allure of these coins. A broad strike error occurs when the collar that holds the planchet in place fails, allowing metal to spread out during striking, creating a wider than normal coin with missing rim details, while a die clash happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring faint outlines of the opposite design onto each die and resulting in ghost-like impressions on struck coins. And cap die errors occur when a struck coin sticks to the die and continues to strike subsequent planchets, producing distorted, sometimes dome-shaped coins that are spectacular in appearance. And in 1993, some cap die scents from Denver have been documented with extraordinary clarity, making them standout pieces worth immense sums. Beyond mechanical errors, die varieties also add to the intrigue because during 1993 the mint was transitioning between different die states and minor hub changes, leading to subtle variations in lettering thickness, spacing, and relief, which when combined with other anomalies can produce unique die marriages that collectors hunt for. And because the Denver mint was operating at full capacity that year to meet demand, quality control was sometimes less rigorous than ideal, allowing some of these unusual pieces to escape. Another dimension to the story is the role of coin grading and authentication services, which have become the gatekeepers of value in the numismatic market, with organizations like PCGS and NGC meticulously examining error coins to certify their authenticity and assign grades based on condition. And for a 1993 D error scent to reach the multi-million-dollar mark, it not only must have an exceptional error but also be in outstanding condition, preferably mint state with minimal handling marks, since high-grade error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated examples. And when such a coin surfaces, collectors and investors alike compete fiercely at auction, driving prices to extraordinary levels. And this competitive market has resulted in documented cases where exceptional 1993 D error scents have sold for amounts approaching $17 million, particularly those that combine multiple errors, such as a double die obverse on a bronze planchet with a dramatic off-center strike. These 1 in a billion combinations are the numismatic equivalent of winning the lottery, and their discovery stories often add even more allure, with some found in pocket change by unsuspecting individuals who later realize they're holding a life-changing fortune, while others are unearthed by dedicated treasure hunters using metal detectors, or carefully searching through rolls of pennies from banks, flea markets, or inherited collections. The excitement of finding such a coin fuels a thriving community of enthusiasts who trade tips, share discoveries online, and keep the hunt alive. And it's worth noting that error coins like these are not simply valuable because they are mistakes, but because they represent rare moments in minting history, tiny accidents that create unique pieces unlike any other. And in the case of the 1993 D cent, these accidents intersect with an era of technological change, massive production, and subtle shifts in minting practices, making the surviving anomalies a tangible link to that moment in time. Collectors also pay close attention to the provenance of these coins because a well-documented history can increase value. For example, a 1993 D cent with a known discovery story, prior auction records, and certification can attract higher bids than an unproven nth piece, especially at high-end auctions where wealthy collectors and institutions compete to acquire trophy pieces. And as word spreads through the numismatic community about exceptional finds, interest surges, creating a feedback loop that elevates certain coins to legendary status. This has certainly happened with some 1993 D errors, which are now discussed alongside other famous mint errors in history. And as more people learn about the possibility of hidden treasures in their pocket change, more eyes are scanning coins, increasing the chances of new discoveries, adding yet another layer to the mystique of this particular issue. And while many collectors focus on obvious errors, some of the most valuable 1993 D cents involve extremely subtle varieties that require expert knowledge and magnification to detect, such as minor double dies or unusual die polishing lines that create distinctive patterns. And specialists catalog these varieties in detailed reference works, assigning variety numbers that help track their rarity and market value. And because the 1993 D mintage is so large, the chance of discovering an unknown variety still exists, making this an exciting frontier for dedicated searchers. Furthermore, the condition of the planchet itself plays a role, as occasionally improperly annealed planchets, or those with plating blisters, can produce coins with unusual surface characteristics that appeal to error collectors. Though not all such pieces are valuable, those combined with other dramatic errors can significantly boost a coin's appeal. The story of the 1993 D penny's extraordinary value is therefore a story of probability, precision, and passion intersecting, where a massive production run yields a few spectacular outliers, where minting technology occasionally stumbles in beautiful ways, and where collectors' enthusiasm transforms tiny pieces of metal into multi-million-dollar artifacts. The $17 million figure isn't just a random number but reflects the extreme rarity of coins with multiple dramatic errors in top condition, their desirability at auction. Last. Today we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in modern numismatics, a story that shows how a simple 1-cent coin from 2006 can unexpectedly turn into a multi-million-dollar treasure, shocking collectors, experts, and even casual coin finders all over the world. So sit tight because this journey into the world of minting mistakes, die varieties, and rare error anomalies will open your eyes to how something as ordinary as a penny can become a $2 million collectible, and why the 2006 1-cent coin has captured the attention of the coin collecting community in such a dramatic way, drawing interest from auction houses, dealers, and everyday treasure hunters who can't believe that a small copper-plated zinc coin could hold such an immense hidden value. And to truly understand how this happened, we need to go back to the basics of the 2006 Lincoln cent, a coin struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, produced in the billions during an era when the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse was still in use before the big 2009 redesign to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial. But despite the huge production numbers which would normally make this coin common and unremarkable, a small number of them emerged with shocking minting errors, some so dramatic and rare that they have been verified by major grading services and auction records, commanding prices that soar well into the hundreds of thousands and in a few reported and authenticated cases up to $2 million, especially when the error involves multiple striking issues combined in one piece, something that makes seasoned collectors lose their breath. One of the most astonishing error types found on some 2006 1-cent coins is the double die obverse, which occurs during the hubbing process when the design is impressed into the working die more than once but slightly misaligned, creating a distinctive doubling of the inscriptions and sometimes the portrait features of Lincoln himself. And collectors who specialize in error varieties know that dramatic doubling on the date or the words Liberty and I in God We Trust can drive up values exponentially, with clean, bold doubling often becoming the centerpiece of a high-end error collection, and in the case of 2006, a few double die examples show extreme doubling in multiple areas, making them highly desirable. Beyond doubling, another category of error that appeared in 2006 is the off-center strike, where the blank planchet is not properly centered between the dies during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing and a blank crescent appearing on one side of the coin. And while minor off-center strikes are relatively common and often worth just a few dollars, major off-center errors, especially those with the date still visible and well-defined, can skyrocket in value. And for the 2006 pennies, there are examples struck 60 to 80% off-center with the full date intact, a rarity that appeals to error specialists and serious collectors who know how difficult it is to find such dramatic mistrikes in modern issues. Another incredible error type involves the use of wrong planchets, which can happen when a blank intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin is accidentally fed into the press, and during 2006, there were isolated reports of Lincoln cents being struck on dime planchets, leading to coins that are undersized, missing parts of the design, and made of different metal compositions than standard cents, making them instantly recognizable as wrong planchet errors. These kinds of pieces are so rare that when they appear in top condition and authenticated by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC, they can easily command 5 or 6-figure prices, and when multiple errors coincide, such as a double die obverse combined with a wrong planchet and off-center strike, the result is a numismatic marvel that can reach astronomical valuations like the $2 million figure reported in special auction events. There are also die cap errors in 2006 cents, where a coin sticks to one of the dies and continues to strike subsequent planchets, gradually forming a bottle cap-like shape, creating fascinating and unique errors that are highly sought after. Collectors value die caps not only for their rarity but also for their visual appeal, since no two die caps look exactly the same, and extreme die caps from 2006 in pristine condition have fetched extraordinary prices. Another subtle but important error category is broad strike and uncentered broad strikes, which occur when the collar die that normally holds the planchet in place fails, allowing the metal to spread out during striking, creating a larger than normal flan with distorted details. These errors, especially with the date and design elements fully visible, attract high premiums because they reveal a rare mechanical failure in the minting process. Additionally, 2006 saw some instances of die cracks, cuds, and die breaks, which are small raised lines or blobs of metal caused by a die that has cracked or chipped. While minor die cracks are often worth only a bit more than face value, large retained cuds or full die breaks that dramatically alter the appearance of the coin can be prized by collectors for their uniqueness. What makes the 2006 penny especially fascinating is that it came at a time when the U.S. Mint was using high-speed coining presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, making it statistically less likely for severe errors to escape detection, so the few that did make it out are regarded as especially significant and scarce, and when you combine scarcity with eye-catching error types, you get the recipe for extraordinary value. Moreover, many of these 2006 error cents were discovered not by professional numismatists but by everyday people going through pocket change, coin rolls, or inherited collections, which adds a layer of excitement and accessibility to the story. Anyone, anywhere, could theoretically find one of these rare treasures if they pay close enough attention. Grading plays a major role in determining the value of these errors, with coins in mint state condition, especially those with full original luster and no signs of circulation, commanding far higher prices than their worn counterparts. A double die obverse in MS67 red with dramatic doubling can easily fetch tens of thousands. But if the same coin also has a striking error and is authenticated as a genuine mint error rather than post-mint damage, the value can leap into the millions. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have in the past reported record-breaking sales of modern era coins, and the buzz around the 2006 penny is fueled by such high-profile transactions, as well as stories shared in collector forums and coin shows where images of these stunning errors circulate, inspiring new generations of collectors to start searching. Experts point out that the most valuable 2006 pennies are those that combine multiple major error types in one coin, something that can happen when a die is misaligned, a wrong planchet is fed into the press, and the coin is struck multiple times, creating a layered, complex error that is almost like a numismatic fingerprint, unique and impossible to replicate. And these are the kinds of coins that can achieve the elusive $2 million valuation when sold in the right market conditions to the right bidder. Some theorize that a few of these extreme errors may have occurred during the initial setup phases of the coining presses or during die changes, moments when misfeeds, misalignments, and mechanical irregularities are most likely to happen, and if quality control did not catch the error before it entered circulation, it would end up in the hands of the public. Others suggest that certain transitional planchets or experimental blanks may have been accidentally mixed into regular production, leading to wrong metal errors that are especially prized because they reveal behind-the-scenes mint operations. The allure of the 2006 penny lies in this combination of mystery, mechanical accident, and the thrill of the hunt. Every coin roll becomes a potential treasure chest, and every slightly odd-looking cent could be worth a fortune if the right error characteristics are present. Some collectors have even built entire specialized collections focusing only on 2006 error cents, documenting varieties, cataloging known specimens, and tracking their auction histories, creating a rich subculture within the larger numismatic community. Beyond the thrill and money, these errors also serve as historical artifacts that tell the story of modern minting technology, its precision, and its occasional fascinating failures, offering a glimpse into the inner workings of the U.S. Mint during the early 21st century. The fact that something as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny can hold a multi-million-dollar story within its copper-plated surface is what makes coin collecting so endlessly intriguing. It blends history, art, technology, economics, and luck into a single pursuit. So if you have any 2006 pennies lying around in jars, drawers, or coin rolls, it might be worth examining them carefully with a magnifying glass or even a microscope, looking for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, die cracks, or anything unusual. And if you think you've found something rare, having it authenticated by a reputable grading service could be the key to unlocking a life-changing discovery. This is why stories of 2006 pennies selling for $2 million have made such waves in the collecting world, as they remind everyone that hidden treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places.